Welcome to Journey with the Josies, and this is our third and final segment of a three-part video series we've done on our June 2022 trip to Glenwood Springs, Colorado, Moab, Utah, and for this video, Monument Valley, which sits on the border of Utah and Arizona.
You might remember in our last video, we saw beautiful landscapes in the Moab area, went on several memorable hikes, and enjoyed all there is to offer in the national parks and state parks in the area.
With a stop for fuel, our trip from Moab down to Monument Valley was approximately 3 hours. Our first stop that we had been anticipating is nicknamed the Forrest Gump Road, and it is a very famous part of Highway 163 where many movies have been filmed and commercials, to include Easy Rider and Forrest Gump. This is the point where Tom Hanks stops running after a very long journey across the country. Well, we're trying to take a picture here at this famous point for Forrest Gump, Tom Hanks, when he stops running in the movie. But it's a little bit busy around here right now, getting out on the street. And you gotta be careful of the traffic too.
In Monument Valley, there is a historic resort area called Goulding's, which is where we camped for the next 3 nights. The history of this resort started over 100 years ago. In the 1920s, the Gouldings bought land in Monument Valley and set up a trading post. In the 1930s, they went to Hollywood and met the famous director John Ford and convinced him to film his next movie in Monument Valley, which ended up starring John Wayne. Over the years, a lodge and dining facility were added to the area to accommodate the movie crews. Today, the Gouldings home and trading posts are a museum that showcases artifacts from old Western movies, as well as items that tell about its rich history of trading, culture, and tourism. The lodge and dining facility, as well as a campground, grocery store, and gas station are available now for people to enjoy the natural beauty of the area. So this was a potato cellar. Because of its thick walls and dirt roof, this little building made an excellent place for Mike to store her potatoes, carrots, onions, and other produce.
The Gouldings RV campground is very scenic, nestled in a canyon, but the sites were pretty close together, and we did have a little difficulty with a tree that was preventing us from opening our slides initially until someone came out to help trim the tree.
The area around the campground was just beautiful. We even found a short hike to a cool arch, so we decided to do that before dinner.
Not a bad arch for being pretty close to the campground.
Yeah.
The next day was devoted to a full day of sightseeing all around the Monument Valley region. First up was a self-guided tour within the tribal park. It was a 17-mile bumpy drive, but we downloaded an app that helped us understand many of the historic sites that we were seeing.
This iconic valley. It's easy to see why this primordial landscape is popular with Hollywood.
So we're about an hour into the 17-mile scenic drive in Monument Valley Tribal Area or Tribal
Park.
Tribal Park. It's been extremely bumpy, jostling in the car, but that's kind of what it's all about along these gravel roads. We would come back later in the day to get a more in-depth tour with a Navajo guide, but for now, we were off to some other areas just outside the tribal land.
Located 30 miles northeast of Gouldings is a cool state park called Goosenecks. What you're looking at is the San Juan River 1,000 feet below on its way towards Lake Powell. This area is a perfect example of an entrenched river meander, where the river twists and turns for over 6 miles, but only advances 1.5 miles. The next cool thing we did was to drive the Moki Dugway. What is a Dugway, you ask? Well, Dugway means carved from a hillside.
So going into this drive, I didn't know how scary it was going to be. It was 1,000 feet up, had a lot of switchbacks, but fortunately there wasn't too much traffic on the road when we were going up and coming down. There were no guardrails, but it was very scenic and it was kind of fun. After staying at the top for a little while and sightseeing, it was time to come on back down the mountain and get back to Monument Valley, where we were scheduled for a sunset tribal tour.
We knew we wanted to learn more about the magnificent monuments, the Navajo culture, and wanted to see the beauty of the Monument Valley at sunset, so we booked a Navajo guided sunset tour and we were not disappointed. The dwelling we are about to enter is called a hogan. This is the home for Navajo people and where they practice sacred ceremonies.
English translation. Hello, my friend, come on in. So you're going to learn how to walk in a hogan, okay? Enter a hogan. One first person.
Hi, my name is Loretta. So I do a little demonstration of what we do with our sheep wool. So right now people are shearing their sheep. And what we do with our sheep wool is we collect them, we wash it, we clean it, we dye it. And the dye part, we use a lot of the vegetation that grow in the area, or else we go hunt for it up in the higher elevation or down in the lower elevation.
As the tour went on, we were treated to Navajo music and dance.
Last horse take me, oh my darling, you away, hey.
As the sun began to set over the valley, it cast a beautiful glow over all the monuments, and it put a cap on a beautiful day of sightseeing.
Take a shower for 4 days. They have to keep it holy for 4 days. Before the sun comes up, they wash themselves with this again. Yeah, it takes all your body odors off. This yucca.
So we've been on the road for 11 nights now, and we have been on the go, go, go. So I really haven't cooked anything with a recipe all these nights. It's been very simple meals. So tonight I thought I'd make Italian cheeseburgers, which is, if you can tell by the recipe, a well-loved, well-worn recipe that I cut out of the newspaper when I was a teenager, so a long time ago. And all the ingredients are out and ready to go. I'm using ground turkey instead of ground beef. I've got the onion and the tomato sauce and the Parm cheese and the spices. Once it's all cooked up, it's going to go on those rolls back there. And then some mozzarella cheese and a little more Parmesan cheese is sprinkled on top. And then it's wrapped in aluminum foil and it'll be baked in the convection oven up there. So right now, the meat and the onion is browning. Once that's cooked, we'll drain off the fat and we will add the tomato sauce and the spices. Okay, so I've added the tomato sauce, the Parmesan cheese, the oregano, salt and garlic salt, and the onion and turkey were already cooking. Now I've got it all together and it's going to simmer for about 30 minutes and then we can put it on the rolls with the cheese and bake it in the oven. Okay, for the final step, I'm going to take the rolls and we're going to hollow out some of the bread in here so that it can hold more of the meat. And then we're going to fill it with the meat mixture that I was cooking earlier. And then we'll top it with the mozzarella cheese and the Parmesan cheese. Okay, we've hollowed out a little piece of the bread so we have room for meat. Okay, we have filled the bread with the meat and the mozzarella and the Parmesan. I bet you know which one is Stu's and which one is mine. Anyway, we're going to wrap them in aluminum foil and put them in the oven for about 10 or 12 minutes. And they should be piping hot and ready to eat. The next day, we traveled 100 miles east to visit a unique geographical area of the United States. We are at the Four Corners National Monument, where New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, and Colorado, all 4 states meet in a perfect square. And we're hoping to take a picture with being in all 4 states at the same time. Four Corners, a common bond. This is the only place in the United States making the common corner of 4 states: Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, and Utah. Who established this corner? The Four Corners Monument was established and perpetuated by U.S. government surveyors and astronomers beginning in 1868. Since it was our final evening in Monument Valley, when we got back from Four Corners, we wanted to take in the sunset and get some more pictures at Forrest Gump Hill. The next morning, it was time to pack up and start our 2-day, 1,000-mile journey home to California. On our way home, we selected a route we had not been on before that involved driving through central Utah and Nevada. We made a quick overnight stop at a nice KOA in west central Utah. For our second day, it got very remote as we drove through western Utah and all of central Nevada.
The roads we were on were very remote, and you really had to plan your fuel stops so that you didn't get yourself in a pickle.
Look around. We are on the loneliest highway in America, US Highway 50.
In Nevada.
In Nevada. For our final night, we stayed on a farm which was a Harvest Host location in Fallon, Nevada near Reno. The hosts were very accommodating and we purchased some fresh homemade items from their little market on the premises. We even got to see another amazing sunset.
We hope you enjoyed this video that concludes our three-part series of our June 2022 trip to Colorado and Utah.
Thank you for watching another episode of Journey with the Josies.